Hi there. Welcome to part 2 of the H&R 29779 lowering springs install. If you've seen the front part, you know that went fairly well. So I'm hoping that the rear will go fairly well as well. I know that it's more complicated. When I did the Bilstein shocks on this car, I know that it was a little more complex. I think it'll be a little easier this time because I've had them out not that many months ago when I did the shocks. So stick with me. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so the first job will be to remove the caliper and hang it up. Also, of course, just like in the front, we have to remove the speed control, the wheel speed control, and the brake line from the wheel carrier, and that will move that all out of the way. Okay, back here behind the strut, on that blade that sticks out the back of the strut, you'll see the wheel speed sensor, which I've taken off here, goes up there. It loops around through here, and it's held into these clips. Okay, so now I've got it out here, so you can see the grooves there. I just pulled it out this way. I had to pry it a little bit with these rubber grommets. And then that way you can just pull this thing out, throw it aside like that. If your car has electronics, you need to probably remove this little guy here. Just undo it like that, because this is for the self-leveling. It's attached down here to the control arm and up here to this little switch. So just not to put any undue stress on it, I just thought I'd undo it. You have to counter hold it, 10 millimeter. It's like the drop links, you have to counter hold them. So we'll go in here, we'll remove the drop link from the sway bar down there up to the top of the wheel carrier, which is that pinch bolt, like in the front, pinch bolt that holds in the strut. Removing the bottom of the drop link here, I'm holding the inside nut with a 17 millimeter wrench. Just push it up against the control arm. And then I used a 15 millimeter socket here to remove this nut here, which I'm just finishing up now. And we'll just pull it off. And then you can pull that straight out of the sway bar. Okay, this makes it easier to get this top one out. Now the axle I'm going to pull out from the transmission. There's the flange back there that has six bolts on it. I'll be pulling those out, and that way the whole thing should come out, and I should be able to drop the axle down. If you want to do your CV joint boots at the same time, it's a good time to do it because it'll be quite available. The words of the wise here is when you push your the socket into the bolts there, make sure it's well seated. Make sure those Allen keys get right in there deep, because you can easily strip them out. But when they're well seated, you know, I'm using a power bar to loosen them off because they're quite tight. There we go. Okay, now I've just taken off the parking brake. Now I can rotate it. Third of a turn, and put the parking brake back on, and do the next two. I'm going to undo the inside, or the bolt that runs from the inside of the track arm, or the track arm, because that will allow me to pull the whole thing out this way. Another bolt that I'm going to be taking out is on the inside of the control arm. Now you can see that down in here. This is the bolt that I'm talking about. Holds on that control arm, coffin arm sometimes called, especially in the UK. And I'll be pulling that whole thing out. You'll notice that this bolt back in the track arm, the bolt that I've taken the nut off, and I'm taking the bolt out. You'll have to turn it a little bit because this is eccentric. It's the bolt. Bring it out here. You see that the bolt is offset from the nut, from the head. And there's this disc here. So the thing is, as you turn it, you can adjust the toe. And the nut on the other side is the same thing. It fits into this little groove in the bolt, and it turns at the same time. This thing here will turn at the same time. In fact, there's even markers on it, little degrees marked on it. I'm not too worried. I'm going to have the, since I'm changing the springs and all sorts of things, I'm going to be having the car aligned once I'm finished the job. Same thing when we're taking out the control arm bolt. It's the same type of bolt. Okay, so you can see sort of eccentric like that. Now you'll see that I've put a floor jack here underneath the carrier. So now that I've got the parts below done, what I need to do is, there is a cap here. Okay, this cap near in front of the trunk. Pull that off. There's a nut down in there. In here you have to pull away the lining, this insulation foam stuff here. You have to pull that away, and down here you'll see there's another nut there, and over here there's another one. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3 nuts to take out, and then the strut will drop down. This arm is out, pulled it straight out here, had to lever it out a little bit with a bit of a pry bar. The control arm, same thing, levered it out a little bit. I just pushed it out. So now I've got the supported still on my jack here, and these things have pulled straight out this way. I just pulled this over this way. I still haven't taken away this diagonal bar, this diagonal support. Looks like I may not have to do that. I'm going to try and wiggle this guy out, see if it works. Next time, I'm going to leave those bolts attached up there, let the thing drop down and pull this out, then take it out. I think that would work better. Right now, it's going to need a bit of grief. And there we are. Okay. Okay, when I do the other side, I'm going to do it this way, but I'm going to exactly the same, except I'm going to leave these 3 bolts, which are on the top, which, if you remember, were up here. I'm going to leave these in place, or leave one of them in place at least, to hold the strut up there. Then when the carrier drops down, it should just fall right out. Haha, he said. Okay, so we've got it on the vise, and I'm using my my gear clamp as a spring compressor. Oh, I bought a 21mm wrench. Wow, isn't that chic? That goes there. On this top perch here, you just have to make sure, if it comes apart, that the things here, these 3 notches, line up with the 3 bolts. Since they're not evenly spaced around, it's just a matter of fitting it on so that where they're supposed to go, because it won't go any other way. Yes, sir. It slid right into place. Lovely. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I put one of these straps here, because I want to pull this whole thing in. At the same time, I need to be jacking this up. Getting everything in place. All right. Bring it up a bit. Huh, that's good. Just like the jack just fell out. So we'll just put this top nut in now that we got those bolts up in place. And right now I'll just put in the one. And I've got obviously another one to go down in this hole and the other one to go back in here. So we got the track arm bolt in, pushed through from the back towards the front of the car the way it was. It's not tightened up yet, but it just needs to be tightened up. I will do a rough alignment, a string alignment, so that I can drive the car to get it to a place where they will do a proper alignment afterwards. I haven't yet put up my flange in the back there, but it's the same thing as taking it out, just backwards. And here's the control arm, which I got into place. I got convinced that it wanted to go in there. It took a fair bit of convincing, mind you. Okay, so we've got everything pretty well in place. What's left to do now is pretty well the reverse of the disassembly procedure. So we have the caliper to put in its place. We have the wheel speed sensor to put in its place. Another few little connectors. Won't forget that Litronics thing back there. And then we'll torque everything to spec. And I will make an adjustment on the toe and the camber. Obviously, it won't be perfect. I'll just do it with a string probably for the 4 wheels, so that the car can at least track straight to get it to the alignment shop. Okay, that's it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please click the subscribe button and leave any comments below.